Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions. This week, we're going to be getting through some special selections as we do on the first week of a month, and we're starting off today with something I'm pretty interested in for the sole reason that it has not shown up in the spreadsheet yet. This is what I love about these special selections. These are songs that nobody's requested. I think that's just amazing. I have 800 bands in my spreadsheet, and people are requesting stuff that's not on there. It blows my mind the vast, massive library of music that all of you guys listen to as a collective. There's just so much music out there, and as we've explored over the past year, we've checked out some 220 bands, I think, in the last year. A lot of it's really good. Like, not all of it is my specific cup of tea. There's only been a few bands that I've gone out and purchased their music, or that I've explored further on my own. But I mean, I usually have something good to say about everything. There's just so much good music out there. Josh Stribling is going to be the requester for today's special selection. Says, can I check out Klone, the song All Seeing Eye, preferably audio only versus their live version? Interesting, lines up with me. I typically prefer studio over live, unless I am actually there, or unless it is kind of. I like live music when that song's supposed to be done live, which typically for me means jazz. I will prefer jazz over studio just because, sorry, jazz, live over studio, just because with jazz, every live version is different. The solos are different, some of the flourishes are different. So much of jazz is in the playfulness of the performance and subtle changes between all the other performances. Now, that does kind of exist with live when you talk about rock and metal, but for the most part, unless it's a really good recording of the live, it tends to be missing parts that were in the studio version. Maybe they were, backing tracks or MIDI stuff, stuff that's not replicated live, or the audio is worse because of the live situation. It's just sometimes you have a song that's split up because they want to get the band, I mean the audience pumped. So it's a 3-minute song that ends up being 7 minutes live because there's a huge part in the middle where you just have the drummer hitting the bass drum over and over while the singer's talking to him. It's just live just rarely works for me in rock and metal the way that it does in jazz. So I don't know. I went on a tangent there. If you're new to the channel, I do that often, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. Some people like to listen to me ramble. I don't know. I don't know. So, now that I said my piece about live versus studio, let's check out the studio recording of Klone's All Seeing Eye. I don't even know what kind of music this is. It could be rock, it could be metal, it could be jazz. I have no idea. We're going into this one without any prior knowledge, so let's go. It's like, what if Pantera were played by a swing group? The bass is just real good. I'm digging that. What is that sound? It sounds like a trumpet with a harmony mute in it. Oh, I'm getting saxophone vibes now. Drum work is killing it. Just getting those nice rolls in between the elements of the drums, just nice little flourishes there. Still in 4/4, but we switched to an interesting tempo that gives it like a 3 feel compared to what we had before it. Now we're sludging up lots of chaos. Weird screeches going on. I'm getting kind of a Devin Townsend vibe here, specifically Deadhead. Really nice ambient sounds. We got like really big bells going on here. And some tiny bell, like a xylophone maybe. I have no idea what to think of this. Oh, okay, that was quite an abrupt ending. All right. So, yeah, that's something. So, a lot of it feels like, to me, it has like sort of a, I don't know, like a Pantera feel. It just got that heavy low end, lots of bass, with that screaming growling. I mean, that to me feels just like Pantera's Walk as far as the vocal performance goes. And that's it's kind of weird to like admit some of this stuff, but Walk is the only thing I know by Pantera. It's my only frame of reference for them. There's a lot of bands. They're like, wow, you've never heard these guys. I'm like, yeah, I have heard them. They're single. That's it. um, so yeah, it has that sort of mid to late '90s hard metal, heavy metal, whatever you want to call that, feel to it. But it has all these strange little concepts from outside of metal, and I don't really know how the two fit in my mind because the metal aspect of this is fairly simple, and that's kind of how I view this kind of era of music that it reminds me of, is on the simpler side. But it has all of these interesting ideas that make it more complex. There's obviously a love for this specific sound, this 90s metal, but there's also this enjoyment, maybe love, again, for some of these ideas that exist more in a classical realm or even some jazz stuff. Let me talk about that intro, right? So, the intro, I couldn't really figure out what was going on because there's like some swing eights going on with the way that their writing is. There's a lot of not like pickup notes, but I guess there's long pickup notes. They're not there's a little bit more accent, a little more emphasis on the pickup note, which kind of gives it like a swing eights feel. Where you get the da 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 da. You get that little da da instead of the da 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 da, which is straight eights. Where your eighth notes are all equal, you get the da 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 da. When you swing it though, you get the da 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 da. And I was kind of picking up some of those ideas there at the beginning, and then they went into more of a straight eighth feel. But every two bars, they would alternate. They'd go back to that sort of halftime, like swing pickup note idea, and then they would do two bars of that, and then two bars of the straight eighths, and then two bars of the pickup. And it was this really, to me, it was extremely jarring to kind of go between the straight and then the quasi swing. Um, so that was just really interesting. The bass at the beginning just tore it up. A little low in the mix for my taste, especially with the sort of prominence they had with carrying a melody. A lot of the guitar work was kind of more chord based, kind of atmosphere, creating a nice sound floor for everything else to happen over. Um, and I wish that bass was just a little bit louder, a little more prominent in the mix because it was just some really good bass lines, but you really got to hone in on it. Um, and I think even if you bumped up the bass and equalizer, a lot of the guitar is also in the lower end, getting that really boomy metal sound. So, yeah, you'd have to like figure out the exact frequency and boost it. But yeah, the bass work kind of gave me some jazz vibes too. It wasn't really doing walking, but it was doing some more complex ideas that I really enjoyed. Um, just yeah, phenomenal. And like I said, all this is paired against scream growls. Like I don't even know what that's kind of called. It's just my brain just could not comprehend that. And the thing is too is that we saw a few of these sections where it introduced some of these other ideas, and then those other ideas would just kind of get wiped out like a little frame wipe, like next, and then we we go back to like straight metal for a few bars, and then these little pieces just start popping up again, and then we have these different concepts embellishing the music. And it's like no 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 no, we can't have that. Clears the screen again, clears the audio sphere, and they keep creeping up. It's like bugs on your windshield. When you wipe them off, they slowly over time you're collecting more of them. And that's what I'm hearing here. Like slowly over the course of these sections, we're collecting these little melodic ideas that are complementing the music in a unique way. They're not. I'd say that there's a lot of clashing going on as far as my biases go, and sounds that I kind of hear together. These sounds just don't work together for me. And then we get a lot of them, and they're like, nope, wipe the slate clean. Let's start with metal again. It's pure metal and try this again. And we get some new things. So that was interesting. Just yeah. And then we hit the middle section where we kind of went full soundtrack style. We got some I want to say there was a saxophone. It was either a saxophone or a trumpet with a harmon mute. I was kind of getting more of a saxophone sound, more of a reeded instrument, and but it was still brassy. So I'm gonna go with saxophone on that one. But a harmon mute kind of gets that same kind of sound. Um, it's just I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. I think the last instrument I said, the last thing that really dawned on me was sax. I think we're gonna go with an alto sax. I think that's what I'm going to land on, but I'm still like 10%. Like maybe that was the trumpet. Uh, but yeah, so we start with that, and then We get couple other instruments. I think some violins or some strings going on, and then we got these really big bells. And what I say is that they're upright bells, and there's usually a row of these guys, and they're all varying heights, and the different heights give you different pitches, and you usually take, at least it sounded in here, would be a yarn mallet, something a little bit more of a softer tone, and you literally strike the middle of the bell, and the tops and the bottoms I think are open, and it vibrates and creates sound, and it exits the top and the bottom. um, so we were hearing some of those, and those are your nice, meaty, warm bell sounds, right? And then we started hearing more of a teeny, brighter bell, like a ting, ting, ting. And I'd say that that was more of a harder mallet, not yarn, maybe plastic, or I don't think it's Are they solid plastic mallets? Huh. I don't know why it never dawned on me. What are those mallets made out of? Anyways, though, it's more of a, it's not yarn. It's not a softer mallet. It's made out of something a little harder, and we are talking about a higher pitched, brighter toned bell, such as a xylophone, and they started popping up too. And the cool thing is they started playing together, and then they kind of separated into their own ideas. So we got sort of that texture combination, and then we got to see them split up and do their own thing. That was really cool. Um, and like, why is any of this in straight 90s metal? It's just uh my brain's still having a hard time comprehending this. It still sounds like two songs that were smashed together as far as my ears go. And I want to compliment them on that, definitely. The two ideas here, just, and as far as my biases go, I've said this a few times, I am not trying to state this as scientific or anything like that. This is not objective at all. But the two ideas they're going for are just so far apart in my mind, as far as intended texture, intended tone, uh, adherence to complexity, I guess. That's kind of a weird way to word that. Like I said earlier, the metal side of this I tend to just associate with less complex music. It's there for the sound and the heaviness, and it's usually fairly simple and straightforward. It's not necessarily there to think about, but more about turning your brain off and just getting into the groove and headbanging and mosh pits or whatever if it was live. Oh, I mean, I guess you can mosh pit in your own room too. Get your buddies together and fall into your TV. I don't know what people do. We're in the middle of a pandemic. How else are you supposed to mosh pit? You got to do it at home, right? Uh, but yeah, I tend to think of that music as a little bit more on the simple side, and we're seeing some complexity not only just in some of the playing, like the bass work, but also the texture work and the atmosphere work going on by utilizing the extra timbres from the extra instruments that are not typically associated with this genre. So just some really interesting, cool things going on there. I said it earlier, the drummer's killing it, putting in a lot of work there, taking rather simple, again, it's the same idea of taking something simple and just adding the little oomph to it to change it up and make it more than it is. The drummer does a lot of things where he takes a fairly standard metal drum pattern and then puts a little roll in it. Maybe he just rolls on one tom. While he's like going down the drums, he just kind of stays on a tom and hits a couple of 30-second notes on it. And it's just those little pieces of embellishment that just add to it. Just really elevate the track from being a standard metal song to something interesting. And I don't mean that to discredit metal songs to say they're not interesting. But as I've said before, it's all biased. It's interesting to me. I should have added that. It adds little embellishments to make it interesting for me. So, yeah, Klone. This is an interesting band. I would not mind seeing more of this on the channel. And if you have heard of them before, hit me up with some requests from them. Uh, yeah, I don't know if this is what they do when they kind of merge 90s and other ideas. or if they have other style. I don't know. Hit me up. Let me know. Let me know. Give me some more Clone stuff to listen to. Put that down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of them. If you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, if it was just a little too odd for you, the combination, let me know. Above that's a description box. If you want to check out any link adjacent to the channel, such as my Patreon, my Twitter, or even blocked videos, I have all those links in there for if you're interested. And that wraps this one up. We'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC, as usual, with another special selection. Like I said, I think at the beginning of this video, maybe it was at the end of last video. I don't remember. My videos are blurring together. Anyways, we're almost done with the premium selection, which is exciting. On Friday, we will be finished with the premium special selection list. We'll be moving on to the basic one, and we'll clear that one out soon enough. And then we'll be able to reopen special selection, and I can have a huge list piled on me again. Yay! All right. So yeah, we're going to be doing that. Make sure you check back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as usual. And until then, y'all stay safe out there, keep being awesome, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.